House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's brother-in-law apparently lied, possibly committed fraud when applying to obtain various no-bid and other federal contracts for the work that his company had been doing. Now, the contracts amounted to more than $7 million, and he lied about his heritage, claiming that he's part Native American. So let me give you the details. The Los Angeles Times reports that the prime contracts awarded through a federal program designed to help disadvantaged minorities were mostly for construction projects at the Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake in McCarthy's Bakersfield-based district and the Naval Air Station Lemoore in nearby Kings County. Vortex Construction, whose principal owner is William Wages, the brother of McCarthy's wife Judy, received a total of $7.6 million in no bid and other prime federal contracts since the year 2000. Now, McCarthy claims that he played no role in influencing the decisions here regarding these small business loans. However, there could be a congressional ethics investigation into this matter to see whether McCarthy played any role at all. Now, the Bakersfield company is co-owned by McCarthy's mother-in-law and also employs his father-in-law and sister-in-law. McCarthy's wife was a partner with Vortex in the early 1990s. She no longer is. To give you some more details though, Vortex, it's a funny name too. Vortex faced no competitive bids for most of the contracts because the Small Business Administration accepted Wages' claim in 1998 that he is a Cherokee Indian. Under the SBA program, his company became eligible for federal contracts set aside for economically and socially disadvantaged members of minority groups, a boon to its business. And there were actual Native Americans who weighed in on this and said that this man is nothing more than a con. And I'll give you the details on what they found in just a minute. But this is, lying about your heritage in order to get no bid federal contracts is some pretty scummy behavior, to say the least.
Yeah, so there's a couple components to the story, and not every part of it is clear, but there are some parts that are, in my mind, are very clear. So, first of all, the contract started well before McCarthy even got into the House of Representatives. So let's be fair about that, and let's be accurate about it, and we are. And the LA Times pointed it out. I thought they could have emphasized it a little bit more because so basically, what I think is a scam started before McCarthy had power, okay? On the other hand, McCarthy wins in 2006 and then he becomes House Majority Leader in 2014. And I looked at when the numbers went up and they went up a little bit for Vortex after 2006. And then Vortex runs out of the amount of years that they can milk this scam because of laws that limit you for how many years you can do it. So they then seem to help JJ Leone Construction and they pick up the scam, and then Vortex gets a piece of their proceeds, and they admit that they got a piece of their proceeds. And those numbers take off after 2014. So it doesn't mean that McCarthy did it, but should they investigate? Yes, definitely. It should be a very thorough investigation. Right, now, the other parts that are more damning. First of all, McCarthy claims like, oh, I don't even know any of this. Wait, you're funneling tons of money to those particular projects. You know that part.
Yeah, and by the way, McCarthy lobbied hard to expand the projects in question here, specifically the Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake, which is in his district. He was on the record advocating for the expansion of that, and that's the exact deal that his brother-in-law was working on. The same project that his brother-in-law got a massive government contract for.
So his brother-in-law says, I never talked to him about politics. And he had some credible examples. Like for example, he took out his sister, that's McCarthy's wife, from the company all the way back before McCarthy got elected, et cetera. You go, maybe they didn't talk about politics. But McCarthy, you didn't know that your brother-in-law was getting paid through the money you were appropriating? No, I don't believe that part.
No.
No, you come on.
And listen, I know that it's a little different and there is a distinction, but McCarthy wasn't some nobody who happened to get elected in 2006. He was a state lawmaker in California prior to that. He served in the state assembly. So he was in elected office in the state of California prior to getting elected in the House of Representatives in 2006.
Oh, golly gee, my brother-in-law is making millions of dollars off my appropriations. Well, God, oh, that's news to me. No, it's not. No, I don't believe that for a second. But the most unbelievable part, and why I call it a scam in the first place, is his brother-in-law says, oh, I ran into a cousin. Cousin Bob tells me, oh, we're Cherokee. We're part Cherokee. We're like, 124th Cherokee or whatever. It doesn't. I know they say 1/8. And okay, then you say, look at I look at it and go, hey, what if the shoe was on the other foot, right? And let's be fair here. And is it possible, et cetera? Then you go and register with the Northern Cherokee tribe, which is not accredited by anyone else. Other Cherokees say that's a fraud organization.
Yeah.
The federal government says that's not true. They're not actually Cherokee. Now, I'm 1/8 something that we're not sure, okay? It's a part of my family that could be Kurdish. They could actually be European. They could be Druze. We're not positive, right? But I never went and registered as a Kurd or a Druze or European. To go and register as Cherokee because cousin Bob said it a bunch of years ago, and then you apply for government contracts that are reserved for Native Americans. Get out of here, you ain't Cherokee, you know you ain't Cherokee. That's why you went to the Fraud Cherokee organization, and it ain't got nothing to do with cousin Bob, and you never believed that for a second. It's the most obvious scam in the world.
100%.
And that they should really prosecute.
Right, I mean, they should definitely look into that, and if he committed fraud, he committed fraud. I think ordinary people who commit fraud face consequences for that. But I do want to also go to this video featuring Kevin McCarthy, because he seems to have very strong feelings about people like, let's say, Hunter Biden, getting the opportunity to benefit off nepotism. So let's hear what he had to say about that.
Investigation into Biden, into Hunter Biden, right? I mean, he's going to be the vote that goes against President Trump. He's made that clear.
Yeah, but this should not be about politics. Any elected official that uses their office or has their children who uses their office to get economic gain, where you're getting $50,000 a month, how many Americans don't make that in a year?
Now, I happen to agree with Kevin McCarthy in regard to Hunter Biden serving on the board of Burisma, a Ukrainian gas company that he had no expertise in serving on. But nonetheless, I mean, he has some strong feelings about family members of individuals who serve in elected office getting various financial benefits just because they have that relationship with the elected official. So who knows? I have very little faith in the congressional ethics investigations that take place. The Senate Ethics Committee, for instance, looked into the very obvious insider trading that was taking place among various senators in the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. And they're like, no, we see nothing wrong here. They're clear. We all happen to be part of this grift, so we don't want to, get in trouble for that. So everything's good. We're all good. It's like the same thing as cops, like doing an internal investigation.
Yeah. So here we have a good case of mainstream media and the LA Times, which I generally loathe, doing a good investigation. Credit where credit is due, we're fair. Now the question is, are there any laws? Will Democrats who control California ever enforce any laws, or are they going to be cowed by, oh my God, they're going to accuse us of bias because it's the right wing, just let him go, right? Which is what happens almost every time. So we'll see if Kevin McCarthy and his brother-in-law wind up having, ironically, white privilege, even though they're so Cherokee. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.